Welcome to the deep dive. We're going deep today, diving into the Kamakhya Temple in India. It's a place that I know you've been wanting to understand better, and I think this is really going to be a journey.
I think so too. There's so much to uncover.
I know, right? We've got a lot of really cool material to go through today, so we're going to learn about the temple's origins, the core beliefs surrounding it, rituals, and architectural significance. All that good stuff. Think of it like, we're kind of like your guides on this exploration, bringing you the most important, most interesting parts of the Kamakhya Temple without overwhelming you.
Exactly. We really want to make sure you walk away with a clear understanding of just how significant this place is, both culturally and spiritually.
Yeah, it's not just about facts and figures. It's really about capturing, like, the heart of this place, right?
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're drawing insights from a really fascinating discussion that really delves into the mythology, the traditions, the unique aspects of Kamakhya Temple.
I'm excited to get into it. All right, where do we start? Where does this incredible journey begin?
Well, I think the best place to start is with its origin story. The Kamakhya Temple is deeply intertwined with the myth of goddess Sati and Lord Shiva. Have you heard this one before?
I have, actually, but it's always good to get a refresher. Plus, I bet some of our listeners haven't heard it.
Right, exactly. So the story goes that Sati, the daughter of Daksha, married Shiva against her father's wishes.
And her dad, Daksha, really had it out for Shiva, didn't he?
He really did. And to add insult to injury, Daksha organized a huge yajna, a sacred ritual, but intentionally excluded Shiva and Sati.
Ouch. Family drama on a cosmic level, it sounds like.
Is a big deal. So Sati, feeling deeply hurt and insulted, made the ultimate sacrifice. She immolated herself in the sacrificial fire.
Wow. And Shiva's reaction to that, to losing his beloved Sati, that's where the famous Tandava dance comes in, right?
Exactly. Shiva, consumed by grief and rage, began performing this incredibly powerful cosmic dance of destruction. And let me tell you, this wasn't just any dance. This dance, the Tanava, had the power to destroy the entire universe.
Talk about intense grief. So how did the universe survive this cosmic outburst?
Well, the other gods, realizing the danger, appealed to Lord Vishnu.
Of course, Vishnu the preserver.
Right. To stop Shiva's destructive dance and save the universe, Vishnu used his Sudarshan chakra, a divine discus, to cut Sati's body into pieces.
51 pieces, if I remember correctly.
You got it. And these 51 pieces fell to earth at different locations, and each location became a Shakti Peeth.
Okay, hold on. Let's break this down a little. Shakti Peeth, that means?
It means seed of Shakti. Shakti is the divine feminine energy, the primordial cosmic energy that is responsible for creation itself. So basically, these 51 spots became sacred pilgrimage sites, incredibly powerful centers of feminine energy.
Wow, and Kamakhya is one of these.
It is, and a very special one. Kamakhya marks the spot where Sati's womb and genitals fell.
And that makes it a symbol of?
It makes it a symbol of feminine energy, creation, and fertility. And that symbolism is so potent here. I mean, think about it. It challenges the more typical ways we see deities represented, in human form.
It's more about the very essence of creation itself, right? The source.
Exactly. And that's something we see reflected not just in mythology, but also in the way the goddesses worship there. It's a unique and powerful representation.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about the name Kamakhya itself.
Yeah.
Because even that has a really interesting meaning, right?
Oh, for sure. So Kamakhya is actually a combination of two words, Kama and Akhya.
Okay, and those mean?
Kama means desire, and Akhya means grantor. So put them together, and Kamakhya translates to grantor of desires.
Makes sense. It's all about the goddess fulfilling wishes. And it's kind of cool how the name directly acknowledges desire, right?
It is. You don't often see that in spiritual traditions, this kind of direct acceptance and even celebration of desire.
Yeah, it's a different perspective for sure. So if someone were to visit the Kamakhya Temple, what would they actually see as the main focus of worship? Is there a statue or an idol there?
What's really interesting here is that the central object of worship is not a statue or an idol of a goddess, but it's actually a yoni-shaped stone.
A yoni-shaped stone.
Yes. And this represents, directly and powerfully, the creative power of the feminine principle.
Wow. That's very different. And is there anything else unique about this stone? I heard something about it being always moist or something like that.
You were right. So there's a natural underground spring that constantly keeps this stone moist. And that's seen as a very sacred thing. It adds to the power and the sanctity of the place, linking it even more directly to life-giving energy.
It's like the earth itself is participating in this sacredness.
Exactly. And that connection to the natural world is something we see again and again at Kamakhya, especially one of its most famous festivals, the Ambubachi Mela.
Right. The Ambubachi Mela. This is a huge festival celebrated every June. And I have to say, it's unlike any other I've come across. What's so unique about it?
Well, what makes the Ambubachi Mela so unique is that it celebrates the goddess's annual menstruation.
Wait, her menstruation. That's what the festival is about.
Yes, and during this time, the temple is actually closed for 3 days,
3 days of closure, symbolically representing.
representing the goddess's period of rest and purification. It's such a powerful statement. I mean, how often do you see menstruation being openly acknowledged, let alone celebrated, in a religious context?
Almost never. It's pretty revolutionary, even in today's world. And then after the 3 days, what happens?
The temple reopens, and it's a huge celebration. Pilgrims and devotees come from all over to receive blessings and participate in the festivities.
It's like a grand welcoming back, a rebirth of sorts.
Exactly. And it's such a powerful symbol of the sacredness of the natural cycles, of the feminine principle.
It really is. And beyond these incredibly unique rituals, Kamakhya is also known as a really important center for tantric practices, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to clarify here what we mean by Tantra because it can often be misunderstood.
Yeah, there are a lot of misconceptions out there.
For sure. So in its essence, Tantra is a spiritual tradition that emphasizes the interconnectedness of everything in the universe. And it often involves rituals, meditation, and working with the subtle energies of the body and the cosmos to achieve liberation.
So it's less about restricting yourself and more about harnessing the power within.
Precisely. And the goal of many tantric practices is to unify the male and female energies, represented by Shiva and Shakti, to achieve enlightenment.
And Kamakhya, being such a powerful seat of Shakti, naturally becomes a hub for these practices.
Exactly. It's seen as a place where these divine energies are really potent and where practitioners can go deep in their practices. And they come from all over, seeking the blessings of the goddess to help them on their tantric path.
It's like a magnet for those seeking that kind of spiritual connection.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the temple itself. The architecture is really something to behold. It's not just one single style, is it?
No, it's definitely a blend. And it's stunning, really striking.
Right. The architecture of the Kamakhya Temple is this fascinating fusion of indigenous Assamese styles and traditional Indian architectural elements.
Yeah.
And over the centuries, different rulers and dynasties have contributed to its construction and renovation, so you see this beautiful layered effect.
And that main dome, the shikara, it's so unique. It's like a beehive shape, isn't it?
Yes, it's a really distinctive beehive shape, specifically a Nilachala-type dome, which is characteristic of this region of Assam. And then all over the temple walls and the dome itself, you see these incredible, intricate sculptures of Hindu gods and goddesses.
It's like a visual representation of the stories and beliefs that are held within the temple walls.
It really is. And these sculptures aren't just decorative. They represent the deep devotion and the amazing artistic skills of the people who created them.
It's art and spirituality coming together. And speaking of spirituality, the temple's location itself seems to play a big role in the overall feeling of the place, right?
Absolutely. So imagine this. The Kamakhya Temple is perched high atop Nilakal Hill, overlooking the Brahmaputra River.
Wow, that's quite the view.
It's breathtaking. You're surrounded by lush green hills and the vast expanse of the river, and it just creates this incredibly serene and powerful atmosphere. It's a perfect place for both worship and deep contemplation.
It sounds like a place where you can really feel a sense of connection, both to the divine and to the natural world.
You said it. And there's one more thing we need to talk about to really understand the Kamakhya Temple. The practice of animal sacrifice.
Right. This is a tradition that's often misunderstood and can be controversial.
Definitely. So animal sacrifice is a continuing practice at Kamakhya, and it's rooted in ancient beliefs about offering to the goddess. But it's important to understand the symbolism behind it.
So it's not just about the literal act.
Not at all. It's seen as a symbolic act of surrendering your ego, your desires, your animalistic nature to the divine.
Like a way of purifying yourself, of letting go of the things that hold you back spiritually.
Exactly. Now, while this practice might seem strange or even disturbing to us today, it's crucial to understand it within the context of this specific spiritual tradition, where the offering of life force was seen as a powerful act of connecting with the divine.
It's a window into a different worldview, a different understanding of the relationship between humans and the divine.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that cultural practices and beliefs can be complex and don't always fit neatly into our modern sensibilities.
So to really grasp Kamakhya, we have to be willing to step outside of our own perspectives and try to understand it on its own
I
terms.
think that's a really important point. And it's what makes exploring places like this so fascinating.
It's challenging, but it's also really enriching. So taking a step back and looking at everything we've covered, it's clear that the Kamakhya Temple is so much more than just a temple, right?
Right. It's a convergence of spirituality, mythology, history, culture, philosophy, all coming together in this one powerful and incredibly vibrant place.
Yeah, and it's such a powerful representation of India's spiritual depth and its incredible diversity.
Absolutely. And I think for our listeners, the key takeaway here is that the Kamakhya Temple offers a really unique perspective. It challenges our assumptions about how the divine can be represented and celebrated.
And it shows us the power of embracing and honoring the natural cycles, the feminine principle, in a way that we don't often see.
It's a reminder that there are many paths to the divine, many ways of understanding the sacred, and that the world is full of these incredible, diverse spiritual traditions just waiting to be explored and understood.
Absolutely. And to leave you with something to think about, given what we've learned about Kamakhya and its unique approach to spirituality, how might understanding perspectives like this, perspectives that may be very different from our own, broaden our own understanding and appreciation of the diverse spiritual paths and cultural values that exist in the world today? That's something to ponder, isn't it?
It really is. It's about opening our minds and hearts to different ways of being, different ways of connecting with the sacred.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this journey to the Kamakhya Temple.
It was a pleasure. Until next time.
See you on the next deep dive.